Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. Something that I'd like to talk about is just something that's been on my mind, not even joking, like this actually been on my mind for a couple of weeks. It started kind of randomly as well, and I think I came to the realization of what's actually happening in the world, and it didn't frighten me, but it was more like a realization that this could actually end up happening. I'm going to read through some of this, and then I will give you my thoughts on exactly everything that's happening. It says, Bitcoin will surpass all competition from other payment systems such as Visa and MasterCard within 10 years. If current growth continues, new research has concluded. In a study comparing Bitcoin to legacy payment providers, which also include PayPal, Data Light made the forecast after noting the cryptocurrency's rapid advance since its inception in 2009. They said in just 10 years, Bitcoin has managed to compete with the leaders of the payment system industry. Bitcoin's development is occurring exponentially. If it maintains this pace in another 10 years, it will surpass all competition. Visa first appeared on the market in 1958, MasterCard in 1966, and PayPal in 1998. But Bitcoin has already established itself as an absolute juggernaut in all of this. Data Light, meanwhile, goes further, forecasting that despite its current technical hurdles, Bitcoin will become the preeminent payment network of the world. They said right now, Bitcoin's payment system is much superior to the conventional international payments and wire transfers. Technical improvement of Bitcoin's network is almost certain to make it the world's main payment system. Before I even continue a bit further, this is kind of what really shocked me. And I mentioned this before in other videos, especially in 2018. It was something that kept on popping into my head, but a lot of times I would not push it to the side, but it was more of like a, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. It's kind of, it's interesting that it happened. When you talk about legacy and when you talk about payment system that we already have right now, the things, I mean, I'm going to assume that many people here are over the age of 18. I want to say even over the age of 20, let's say even 25. We all remember a world where Visa and MasterCard and maybe even Diners Club, for those who were there, basically controlled the world. PayPal first came out. It was a very new, weird type of thing. For those who don't know PayPal, if you actually listen to conversations from the actual creator of PayPal, he mentions many times before that when he created PayPal, he was actually trying to create something like Bitcoin. He was trying to make an online digital payment system for people to be able to send money back and forth, but apparently that was squashed very, very quick by governments all around the world, and especially the US government, who said, hey, you can't do this. You're pretty much creating digital cash. We have to rule over you and dominate and, so and so and so and so. So he said many times that the original idea was to try and become something like Bitcoin, that people could have control over their own money on the internet. When you think about all of these things that have dominated the world for a very long time, especially in 2018 and even 17, when Bitcoin was only, 8 years old, I came to the realization very fast that myself, how do I say this? A lot of people have been talking for a very long time that Bitcoin is going to be kind of the it thing. The next 20 years, everyone in the world is going to be Bitcoin. And it took me quite a long amount of time to be able to actually get that into my head as to what they were exactly saying. The progress that Bitcoin has made over the last 10 years has been nothing short of extraordinary. And just simply because of the actual growth of the network, the amount of people who are in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space right now, I think it's estimated to be anywhere between 25 and 50 million. That's it. We have 8 billion people on the planet, and only a small fraction of them are actually into Bitcoin. If this continues, as a lot of people believe that it's going to, simply because of the mining reward getting cut in half and people trying to get more Bitcoin and people realizing how scarce that it is and it being used in every single type of thing that we're going to have around the world, whether that be Microsoft, Starbucks, what have you, is that eventually it's going to become probably the strongest currency that we have on the planet, but also the world's largest payment network that we actually have. And part of the thing that really gets me, and not that I'm rambling on, but the thing that really gets me is that what's going to happen to the world if this actually ends up happening? Because like I said, many years ago when I got into cryptocurrencies, it was kind of a a pipe dream? Is that the idea? You know, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. That sounds really awesome. Bitcoin is worth a couple $100. You know, that'd be pretty cool if we could use Bitcoin for everything. But the way that we have people talking about Bitcoin right now and exactly where the cryptocurrency space is going, I find it very strange. I think that's the only way that I can kind of say this. I don't know how to completely articulate it. For those who are looking at the screen right now, we had information in 2018, last year, obviously. For those who are looking at the screen, this little red dot right here, there's a chart that says Bitcoin, Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal. It says total volume of payments and transactions in trillions of dollars. Last year alone, people transacted $3.4 trillion on just the Bitcoin network. That doesn't even include any other cryptocurrency network that we actually have out there. Keeping in mind that Visa and MasterCard have been around for a lot longer. And Bitcoin has almost already passed by MasterCard, PayPal aside, what have you. The point is that this new system has been able to do something that no other system has been able to. I mean, if you think of the logistics of the actual idea that more people are not only going to get into Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is going to be a worldwide payment system, that people are going to be using Bitcoin for everything, more people are going to be putting their money and their gold. And there's also, I mean, I was listening to something a couple of weeks ago and they were talking about the actual Bitcoin effect and what a lot of people think is going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years is that people will start to calculate and realize exactly how much they can gain by putting their money into Bitcoin or into the cryptocurrency space. But since we're talking about Bitcoin, let's go with Bitcoin. And what we've seen before, and it was kind of a very weird situation, is that in 2017, a lot of people were actually taking out loans and stuff like that to actually put into Bitcoin. And the idea is that a lot of people will start to sell things that they consider to be assets simply because they will realize that they will not be able to get those type of gains or profit anywhere else except for actually having their money inside of Bitcoin. That comes down to selling gold, selling silver, putting any type of extra money that you have in your normal bank account. This is, once again, not financial advice. This is not me telling you to do all these things. It comes down, this is not the first time that we've heard stuff like this, so this isn't like I'm just pulling this out of nowhere. It's a very weird thing. The idea that we are witnessing a shift in monetary policy right before our eyes, and a lot of the things that people care about are simply just the idea of using Bitcoin. I was talking about the actual idea of it had to be a video or two ago, and we were talking about transacting value around the world and why so many governments and world banks and central banks around the world are desperately trying to create their own cryptocurrencies, their own central bank digital currencies. And it comes down to the fact, it sounds odd, but it's because they understand what Bitcoin is. A lot of people, even a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space, don't fully comprehend exactly what Bitcoin is going to be. When you hear people talk about Bitcoin being a store of value, it's not simply throw a couple of bucks into it, the price fluctuates back and forth, and then that's it. It's that so much money will begin to, when we talk about like a multi-trillion-dollar market cap, is that so much money from around the world is going to begin to flow into Bitcoin, as it already has, especially for many countries around the world that are experiencing hyperinflation. People that live in countries where they don't trust their governments, where the governments are constantly on television for fraud and stuff like that, pushing their money into Bitcoin, that eventually is going to get to the point where Bitcoin's price becomes stable and is not jumping around by 3, 4, 5, 8, 15% every single day. It's typically believed that once we pass by $100,000 per Bitcoin and are floating anywhere between there and around $250,000 per Bitcoin, Bitcoin's price will stabilize. And, it will still go up and down the same way that normal currency does. If you look at the value of the US dollar compared to the euro or the pound every single day when people are trading it back and forth, these things go up and down. However, it's believed that once Bitcoin reaches a certain price, it'll actually be strong enough to be able to usurp and kind of go around and be stronger than a lot of the fiat currencies that we already have in the world right now, which is even crazier to think that Bitcoin, only 10 years old, is actually stronger than, there's more than a few fiat currencies, not the US dollar included, because the US dollar is, for the time being, the reserve currency that we have around the world. But there are a lot of currencies that are experiencing 10,000% inflation per year, a million, that's not a fake number, 1,000,000% inflation per year. That we're going to get to that point where Bitcoin becomes so big that it becomes a store of value because the value is so high and the value does not go up and down and fluctuate. This is what they mean by like they don't simply mean that people are just throwing their money into it. Okay, that's kind of cool. You know, it went up by 8%. It means it's going to completely stabilize. When, and I say when, because I think it's going to happen at this point. Like I said, it took me a while to really get there, but I know that we are going to get there. And it comes down to all of the stuff that we're seeing inside of the news, all the people who are adopting it, all the people who are using it, all the just even the stock exchanges who are throwing billions of dollars at this around the world. And all the news that we've been getting about governments buying it, banks buying it, millionaires and billionaires buying it, oligarchs buying it. It's going to get to a point where the price is so large and so stable that it's easier to use it to be able to transact money around the world than anything else. And this is not talking about a multi-million-dollar Bitcoin. It's more like a $250,000 Bitcoin. That's when we're going to get to that point. And this brings me back to the point of the actual central bank digital currencies, that even that, it'll take them years to be able to implement a system, a payment system amongst themselves, so that the banks can actually transfer the money back and forth between themselves, because fragmentation, whatever the case might actually be. A lot of people believe that this is going to happen over the next 2 years. And I mean, in 2 years, we can all come back to this video, have a little powwow and actually talk about if it did or did not happen. But current metrics from a lot of people are saying that within the next 2 years, I'm not talking about a crazy Bitcoin price of $1 million. I mean, Bitcoin will probably be over $100,000. And at that point, it's going to get serious. It's going to get to the point. And this isn't like a doom or gloom thing. It's more like I myself have very weird feelings about this, because it's one thing to talk about something like this actually happening, but I think a lot of people don't understand exactly what the world is going to become when we have a situation where we are only using, or the suggested use or method of payment is only one currency. That's also going to not only be an extreme store of value, but also going to be something that people collect because they know that the value is going to go up even higher. A lot of people believe that when we have the price of Bitcoin actually hitting 100,000, that at that point, $250,000 is, definitely going to happen. Once we hit $250,000, $500,000 is definitely also there. And at that point, so much money will be flowing into Bitcoin that will eventually hit $1 million Bitcoin. What have you, my hands are actually in the air. No one knows if that's ever going to happen, if it's ever going to hit that high. However, logically, it does make sense when you talk about the actual adoption around the world, especially since we only have 25 to 50 million people who are actually in the Bitcoin, not even cryptocurrency, who are in the Bitcoin space. We also get into crazier numbers where Bitcoin is just absorbing all types of debt and Nostro accounts and all these other things. And it's odd. I know this. I can't be the only one who I'm obsessed with the cryptocurrency space, but I also find it very weird, the idea of that 10 years, me, myself, you, my family, and potentially my future kids are also going to be using this payment system that at this point in time is only 10 years old. If everyone kind of understands what I'm saying, not a conspiracy theory or anything like that, but it's more like you talk about fighting the system and fighting the corruption for so long, and then something actually comes along and actually fights it and is doing very well against it, and you know that it has the potential to be able to usurp the old system that we've had for so long, that I have lived through, you have lived through, our parents have lived through, and our grandparents have lived through, etc., etc., etc. And to think that in 10 years' time, we could have a world that is flourishing economically, where everyone has a chance to be able to transact with each other in a matter of seconds, back and forth, no friction. Everything kind of flows through one thing that is very secure, that isn't going to be bogged down or destroyed by inflation. I mean, like I said, these are just all my thoughts. This is just something that goes through my head. The actual article is right here. I'm going to try and remember to put it in the description below. The name of it, for those who are looking or who are not looking at the screen, it's called Data Light Transactions Research: How Bitcoin Found Its Niche in Competition with Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal. So you can actually read through why they say that Bitcoin is going to become the supreme economic ruler of the world. I don't really know how to really phrase it any other way. $3.4 trillion is an enormous amount of money. I can't stress that enough. And the fact that people are actually using it to be able to transact value back and forth, and they even have the average transaction volume, like per purchase, if you kind of will. Apparently, the average amount of money that people are sending with Bitcoin is $41,000. On Visa, it's around $90. MasterCard is around $80. PayPal is around $58. That's an incredibly large amount of money for something that has just come out 10 years ago. I guess there's not really much more that I have to say. It's more of like not even like a, number of Bitcoin addresses currently around 25 million. It's not even like a play it by ear type of thing. We're going to be going on this journey together. That's kind of the nicest way of really saying it. I'm incredibly interested to see exactly what's going to happen in this space. I believe wholeheartedly in cryptocurrencies. I think that we've gotten to the point right now, especially with the general news from governments and from banks and institutions and stock exchanges and all these other, so-and-so people around the world who are buying up. And I mean what are they called? Gray rock, when you own 1% of Bitcoin, it's fairly clear where a lot of this is going. But the idea of it succeeding and the idea of it kind of taking over the world, and I guess even more of a weirder point, is that I was reading something a day or two ago, and it was a very odd article, but it made a lot of sense. It was kind of along the lines of like, in the future, there won't be millionaires or billionaires. It'll be just people who own Bitcoin. Like, you will be not valued, but like you will be among the elite if you simply hold half a Bitcoin, especially an entire Bitcoin, especially because we know that millions of Bitcoin have actually been lost. It's very weird to think about. I can't be the only one who's like flabbergasted or surprised, or I guess maybe even a bit shocked that all of this is actually happening. The idea that in 10 years, think of this. Think of it like for one actual moment, like think in your head. Imagine in 10 years' time being seen as a world elite because you own a Bitcoin, and you know that there are maybe at any given time at least another 500,000 people on the planet who actually own more than one Bitcoin. And I say 500,000 because I've thought for a very long time that the Bitcoin supply is going to be suctioned very, very fast, and it's going to be going to the elite. And I think that's when we hit a Bitcoin price once again, anywhere between 20,000 to 50,000. I think that'll be a very big eye opener for a lot of people as far as the actual future of Bitcoin. We know, just to kind of reiterate, that there are a number of millionaires and billionaires around the world who own anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 Bitcoin each. That is one person owning that many. So the idea of, once again, not financial advice, you owning one of something, of a digital asset, that you are then part of this new elite in the world. Like I said, it was a very interesting article. It does make sense if you kind of follow the mindset of all of it. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Sometimes I have these things in my head, and I think a lot of other people don't really talk about them. I think people talk about the coming financial shift or the wealth transfer or the so and so, but they don't really go into detail as to exactly what that wealth transfer is going to be. There are a lot of, once again, not financial advice, I have to stress that. There are a lot of people who are never going to own an entire Bitcoin. There are tons of people who are never going to own half a Bitcoin, a fourth of a Bitcoin, 1/100th of a Bitcoin. And just the idea that something that was made 10 years ago could send us into some type of an economic utopia, because we have then, you can see exactly how much Bitcoin's created. You know that if someone is trying to do some type of a fractional reserve or rehypothecation, that it's incorrect, that they you can base it off of how many coins that they have, how transparent they are as a company. I don't know. It's very, very odd. It's very interesting to think of this new world order. I dare not say those letters together out loud, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Anyway, I that's definitely going to do it for this video. Time is coming very, very quick. We spoke about this in 2018, briefly, kind of-ish. But the fact that we are getting closer to the time frame of all of this happening, and we're seeing, it's not even like we're not seeing adoption anymore. Like, we get news every single day about new products, new derivatives, new futures, new everything, new so-and-so, new companies opening up that are buying Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, keeping them inside of funds, or even all these stock exchanges who are opening up their doors and are going to eventually have billions of dollars transacted back and forth in these currencies. It's very odd. it's something very interesting. I hope it all works out, and I still believe, not financial advice, that I think it would be wise for everyone to look into their portfolio to make sure that should this happen in the next 5 to 10 years, if we do have a new economic system that is based off of cryptocurrencies, that you look into yourself and into your wallet to see if you think it is smart for you to diversify and own some Bitcoin because of the future prospects of what it could become, if you get my drift. All right, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Vlad the Impaler, Gilbo a Snake, Rai, Brady Niels, L-Dug, Arthur Yaku, Professor Wally from Gunbite University, Nick Mangialavori, Travis Haynes, Yasha Harari, Anthony Charles, Nick Kanaya, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Wise, Night Owl, Joey Carafa, Crypto Joe, Jim Gardner, Jared Schneider, Jeremy Fox, Amy Starsheen, Richie Rich III, Jeffrey Ramsey, Cody, Carl Birchenoff, Paxis, Jeffrey Dam, Nicholas, One Earth, One Peace, One Love, Setsuna, Minting Coins, Crypnotic, RF Dusty, Shaolin, FriedRice.com, Crypto Artist, Coldy, 3D.com, and SC Verzely, Fine Art at scverzely.com. Thank you all very, very much for your patronage and for your support. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. See you.